Hello, we will be using BeagleY today to capture some airplane flying data, which is ADSB data. So to do that, we have two adapters that we use. One is the UAT 978 MHz adapter from ADSBexchange.com, and the next one is the 1090 MHz adapter from RadarBox. To operate both of this, we also need antennas, and I use the Bangfu dual band antenna just because it's easy to use at home, and that's what I have been setting up with. And to get started, we need two images. The first is the BeagleY-AI image, which is the SD card image. So we come here, search for BeagleY-AI, and we download the XFCE image. I already have a copy of it, so I'm going to click cancel. The next executable, of course, is the Bellina Etcher. The latest Bellina Etcher has some challenges that, for some reason, the disk image just doesn't work. So we need a specific version, which is the 1.8.18.11 version. To get to that, what we have to do is to click on the release page, go to the GitHub versions, click on releases, and then scroll all the way down to version 1.18.11. There are two images that I can use for Windows. Right now I'm using the prepackaged image. And I already have a copy of it, so we are not going to download that. So we're going to run the local copy that I have here. Start that up and give it a couple of seconds. And we select the disk image that we have. I have an SD card already plugged in, so that is there. And we click on flash. Now, this will take a few minutes for it to complete. So, nothing much to do here. Okay, so the flashing is complete and it opens up the boot folder for us. We open the sysconf.txt file, which is the configuration file for the platform. And nothing much to do here. We just need to configure the username and password, maybe the firewall a little bit. So we change the username to pilot, uncomment it, otherwise it's not going to boot up right. And the same for the password, we leave the password as is. So that way it's not a big deal. Scrolling down, the Wi-Fi stuff is not something we're going to touch at the moment. And we're going to ignore that. We're going to say our host name is pilot because we are pilot. And we're going to change that key map to US. And my current time zone is Chicago, so I'm going to uncomment that as well. And I'm going to enable the firewall configuration, and I'm going to say allow SSH for me, otherwise I can't connect to the machine. The main reason is I prefer to have that enabled for my local network. Otherwise it's more or less done. And we close, save it. We'll talk about this address a little later, but let's eject the SD card. And we have got that. Now we put that in the board and we will start booting it up. As the board boots, it goes through two boot cycles. This is the first boot cycle and this is the second reboot cycle. So wait for the operating system to start blinking after the second reboot cycle starts off. Okay, now that my OS is up and running, let's try to connect to it. So we're going to ping it, and as you can see, my WSL doesn't seem to like pinging. So let's put a PowerShell together and try pinging the same domain name. Let's try that once again. It's probably that the name has to percolate over DNS name lookup on my local net here. There we go. We are going to use the IP address and SSH straight to it. Oh, forgot the colon. And I had done this some time back with the previous installation, so get rid of that and try again. And yes, yep, the old password, and we are in. Now, keep in mind this is a fresh installation, has nothing in it. I mean, the basic default. So first thing that we're going to do is to upgrade the operating system to the very bleeding edge. So that's the first step we are going to do. Sudo apt-get update and sudo apt-get dist upgrade -y, so that it doesn't ask us any questions. The first one is going to download all the latest whatever the files are. The second one is actual file download and installation. But anyway, this is going to take a bunch of time for us to finish out. So let it go through. Um, and while it is downloading and installing, we're going to wait around and we'll be back. Okay, we are in the last stage of installation. We click OK and we hit cancel. Nothing much here. We're going to reboot so that we can get a clean shell back. Okay, the green LED is now blinking. So let us SSH in and wait for all the IP stuff, and we are in. Okay, so all the packages are updated, and we are on the latest baseline. Now, let's go back into the ADSB website, and if you scroll down in the home, you'll see the base page, and there are different instructions for installation. Down you'll see the basic setup, etc., which we don't care. Come here, this basic SPC and the Linux more advanced version, which is what we need. So copy the script path and we're going to download it. So wget -o and app install.sh. We got it. And let's look at how it looks like. There's nothing much here. Scroll, scroll, scroll. It is checking, complaining about some packages. And it does some systemd service for timer, and that's more or less it. So it should be relatively painless. Let's see. So sudo bash and app install.sh. It'll probably complain about not having a package and we need to install that. There we go. So Python 3 Flask is missing, so it tells us nicely to install Python 3 Flask. Let's do that with the sudo. Okay, it's going through the list of packages, etc. to install, and it is all done. Okay, what else? So we run the script again. Sudo bash update app install, and it does its magic, and it should be done really fast. Da-da-ding, da-da-ding, does a git clone of the usual thing, starts up the services, and we're done! Yay! But not exactly. Remember, we had set up firewalls, so we need to open the firewall up so that we can access the port 1099. Now, if you want it to uninstall, you saw the uninstall script. You can use that if you like. Right now, we're going to run UFW status to check what the firewall configuration is, and we're going to allow port 1099 for us to access. Dingo! Check again. Yay! Now the port is open, the service is running. Let's go to the website. Bingo! So this is rather straightforward, okay? This is the entry criteria for the entire image. You just need to give it some name. We're just going to say something here. Remember the latitude and longitude that I had typed out in the notepad? I'm going to use that. It is kind of some random location in Plano area, which is in Dallas. and some 600 feet or so. Our aggregators, we'll say all, but we really don't want to use all. But anyway, for the test, that's what we're doing. We'll see the next option where we are asked, okay, it's doing its stuff in the background, so it's showing you what it does. But it's going to come to the point where it's going to ask which receiver you want to use for what. Remember, we had two receivers, so it's going to give us details about that. Yep, there we go. It shows two receivers, one for 978 UAT and the other one for 1090. That's it, 1090, 978. Leave rest of the options as is. Okay, it's doing its thing, and we should see the log of whatever it is doing, and we should be done soon. If you really want it to be on bleeding edge, you can select update to beta. It'll still take a few minutes to download all the beta versions. We don't want to feed all the aggregators, but we are. Anyway, ignore that for now. Ideally, I wouldn't want to update on a test image. What you want to see is this, the maps and the 978 map. There we go. We have airplanes. Yay! Woohoo! And if you look at the dumb 978 view, again, scrolling. If there were ADSBs at 978 megahertz, we should be seeing them here, which at the moment we don't. Okay, we're going to ignore that for now. And voila, that's all there is. You get your maps, your airplanes, you can select various things, look at the call sign, look at who they are, etc., etc., etc.